Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining on time. I hope you all had a good day. If not, let's see if we can end it on a good note. Before we start, maybe thumbs up so that I know you can hear me, or so that also you can see the screen. Thank you very much, Veena. So we will start, guys. Again, guys, this is the fifth session. So if you have any questions from the last four sessions, feel free to ask and do not hesitate. Okay, I'll answer all the questions. All right, agenda you have already seen. Please mute yourself if you are not talking. All right. So agenda, you already seen it. Let's see if we can do a quick recap. I mean, of course, we'll not go through everything, but we can go through most of this stuff. Let me go to slideshow mode, and it's much better. All right. So the most important part that I want to remember is, or what I want you to remember right now is how to conjugate verbs. So I hope you know what conjugating verbs mean. So it's basically, so in English we have, for example, I speak, he speaks, they speak, right? In English we just have two different variations of the same verb in present. In German, we have four, actually five. For example, the verb sehen, right? So ich sehe, du siehst, sie sieht, ihr seht. And for sie and for ihr, sorry, and for wir, it's the same, right? So it's the same as the infinitive one. I hope that's obvious to you, right? Please tell me when to, for those who are appearing for exams, when to capitalize the first alphabet of a word. So what are the rules that you have to remember? Please unmute and tell me the rules. So I told, like, for example, when is the first alphabet of a word capital, guys? If you don't want to answer, I will have to pick someone randomly. So
When it is a noun,
yes,
and then I think the meaning of you, I
yeah,
don't remember it in
the,
German.
the Z, the right Z one,
Z.
formal.
Z.
So U formal is always capital. Yes, and
The third one, I don't remember.
obvious after full stop. Right? So
Ah,
when the
okay.
first word of a sentence, okay? I hope you can count, right? You can count till two, like, I mean, last time we saw it, we did this. It was, so I told you, like, you can, as long as you can count till your salary, fine. You don't have to, I mean, actually, now you should be able to count till a million, like six zeros. So I think you can do that. Uh, and please try to practice, okay? Please try to practice. So if there is any question, and I hope you know personal pronouns, so ich, du, er, sie, this should be obvious to you. You should know how to frame sentences, and you should know how to frame W word questions, yes or no questions, where the verb goes. So, all right. So let's talk about different ways to ask what time is it. Okay. Now, I don't think it is very important. Like, I don't think you will ever ask someone, like, what time is it? Most of you all have phones and you just check the phone, right? But why do you have to learn this? Uh, it's not more about time. I mean, so you will never ask this what time is it, but someone else may ask you this, right? Then you have to be aware, like, what the other person is asking. But what is even more important is that the answer. So the answer to what time is it, you can say SS blah blah ua, right? Blah blah ua, blah blah. But you can use the same answer in many other situations, right? For example, when is the meeting? When do you have time? Right? When are you be meeting? So you have to know how to talk about time. Many of you may already know this if you're already in Germany. For those who are, if you don't know it today, you will learn this may be very easy, or it may be something new for you. Okay, this is why you have to learn. Also, so the question is, there are two ways to ask this. Okay, can someone read the sentence for me, the first one?
We feel over Eastes.
Okay, so what is the verb in this sentence, in this question?
Ist.
Is, right? And you know, check, right? Is this over here? So it is the second position. Now you will say second position, it is the fourth word. But if you remember, I told you second position does not mean second word, it's just second part of the. So we feel ua is the main, it's like we feel ua, right? I can replace we feel ua with was is this, then it will mean what is it, okay? And so W word is V, it means how. Now, if you go for the literal translation, it will mean how much time is it. But okay, German is a different language, so if you translate, it doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense, but not like as per your knowledge. But don't translate. That's what it means. We feel, why is this? This is how you ask. Another way to ask is this one. Please read.
We spät ist es?
right? So here again, if you want to do the literal translation, it will something sound like how late is it. Again, it makes much more sense than how much time is it. But wie spät ist es? So I mean, normally German teachers will tell you that wie viel Uhr ist es, it's formal, wie spät ist es informal. But again, it's not. Your boss may ask you wie spät ist es, or it depends again. But if you're not sure, let's say, how, again, you'll never ask this question to anyone, but let's say if you ask, go with this one. Okay, we feel wise this if you want to be on the safer side. All right. So again, as I said, this is not important. The important is how you answer. Okay, so different ways to answer what time is it, or again, or the question can be, like, what if I ask, when do you have time? When are we meeting? When do you wake up? When do you go to sleep? From when to when do you work? You have to answer that question, right? So how do you do that? Let's say if you have to say this time, okay. If someone knows the answer, they can just tell me. How do I read this time? If I have to read, like if I have to say it is 6:30, how do I say this?
Es ist 18 Uhr 30 Minuten.
Okay, so you don't say Minuten, you just say Aksen Madrasic. Okay.
Okay.
I can try like fear nach 7.
Nach 7, nach 6, right?
Es ist,
Sorry,
es
nach
ist,
6. Yeah, fear nach 6. Yeah.
es
What is
ist halb sieben.
halb sieben? But yeah, halb sieben is what is fear? Do you say fear? Do you mean like,
Quarter.
but it's not quarter, right? It's half. So if it was 16:15, then it would have, like, if it was like 18, you would have said, like, but it's 18:30.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's not fear, it's fear. We'll talk about that. Okay, so thank you very much for the answers. Let's see, let's again, guys, if you have already done this, please still, maybe pay attention, you will learn something new. So how you talk about time is you separate the hours and the minutes, okay, and then you just say, how do you say this is Aksen and this is Reisig, right? So Aksen, Reisig, and all you have to do is add the word Ua in between, okay. So also hint, how do you say it is? So how do you say it is a book? You will say es ist ein Buch, right? So es ist, so es ist 18:30. Again, in real life, you don't have to say es ist. You can just say 18:30. Okay. What I wanted to remember is that if you're preparing for an exam or I don't know, so when you write, make sure that this A of 18 and D of 30 is small. Okay. Don't make this mistake. Okay. I can't imagine in Missionary you will have to write this in exam, but be careful. Okay. So small, small. Remember this one. Okay. Of course, there has to be a full stop over here. Es ist 18:30. U has to be capital. Don't ask why, just accept it. Okay, so lowercase, uppercase. This is obvious, right? Any questions over here? Okay. I mean, when I say questions, you know what I'm trying to say with this, right? So whatever is there in the minute part, that first alphabet has to be small. Here also small. Only U of UA has to be capital. So that is one way. This is the one way. This is the safest way. Other ways are, so let's look at this one. Okay. I think, I mean, this slide is from the first batch when the session was at 7:30. So I added some humor. Just ignore all that. Okay. So the session normally started at this time, right? So if you want to say this, so 17:30 is nothing but like, you know half an hour before 6. So you can say es ist 6, but because it is half an hour before 6, you say es ist halb 6. Okay. And if you want to say this part, right? So this is 17:25. It is like, like 5 minutes before, half an hour before 6. You know what I'm saying? So if it was just 17:30, you would say es ist halb 6, but it is 5 minutes before that, right? So you will say es ist 5 vor halb 6. Okay. All right. Now this one, right? So 17:55. Can someone read this for me?
Just phone for 6.
Okay, so it's obvious, right? So if it was 6, I mean, these are like informal ways of talking about it. Normally, like, it is expected. I mean, it depends, with whom you are talking. If you say es ist 5 vor 6, I mean, it's not clear, right? Are you talking AM or PM? But normally, like, when you are being this informal, people know what you're talking about, right? Let's say if I call my friend, when are we going to, like, for the pizza? Of course, it's not like, like 5:55 in the morning. It has to be evening. It's obvious. Okay, so es ist fünf vor sechs. So yeah, I think for by now it's obvious what vor is, right? It's before. Okay, then this one. So someone gave this answer. Someone was saying this is fear. It's not fear. It is feartal. Okay, and so 15 minutes.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, 15 minutes after this one. So feartal nach sechs. I think nach is obvious, right? So you know what nach is. You know what for is. Okay, this one 2035. So 2035 is nothing but, if it was 2030, you would say es ist halb neun, like half an hour before 9. But it is like 5 minutes after that, so you will say fünf nach halb neun. Here we had fünf vor, here we have fünf nach. Okay. Also, in real life, again, not important for the exam, in real life, if you're watching sometimes movies, right? So sometimes people just say es ist fünf nach halb, and they will not say this part. But at that moment, people are, what they're talking about. It can be something like this. For example, we both leave our, let's say you and I live together, and we leave our house at 7, and then we reach somewhere, and then I'm asking, I ask you, hey, what time is it? Because I don't want to check my phone for the time, and you will say es ist halb. When you say halb, it is obvious to me, it is like, halb neun, halb acht, because we just left our house. And you will hear this in movies. If you're watching movies, which is part of your homework, you will see sometimes people will not say this part, they'll just say halb. Es ist fünf nach halb or fünf vor halb or just halb. Okay, so don't get confused why they are not saying it. That's how. But in exam, you have to, like, if it is like that, you will have to write the entire sentence. Questions? Okay. What I expect from you is that, don't think, okay, I will remember all of this later. I'll go through the slides. Don't do that. Just go through it right now and see if it makes sense. It's not that difficult. Like whenever it is half an hour, you just say halb and the hour after that. And for nak, you remember. And then 15 is like, fear till nak. Now you will say if it is 1620, sorry, 1820, I will say es ist fünf nach viertel nach sechs. I'm not sure whether that is like right or wrong in exam, but it is definitely not accurate in real life. Language, you're supposed to make it as easy as possible, right? So if you say at that moment, you just say it is 18 Uhr 20, or you will say es ist 20 nach 6. You know what I'm trying to say, guys? Okay. If you're not, please, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. If there is some confusion, please unmute yourself and ask. So this is fine. Homework for you guys, so sunset, sunrise, morning, afternoon, evening, nights, so these happen to all of us. I mean, every day. It is always nice to know the German words for them. Okay. You never know when you need them. You never know. Sometimes you think I never use sunset. You do use sunset. And you know I hope you get the so try to learn these, the German words, and learn the correct article as well. Okay. So maybe I can just test what is sunset and sunrise, guys. Of course, give me with the correct article. Come on, you should know this. Many of you use Duolingo, right? What is sunrise, sunset? Okay, what is sun?
Sun.
Zone.
Die Sonne, right? So sunset is, I believe, Sonnenuntergang or Ausgang. Sunrise is Sonnenaufgang. You should know all this, okay? Morning is Morgen, Mittag, Abend, Nacht. Okay? You should know the correct article as well. Again, it is also important. You don't know, I mean, you think it's not important, but it is important. Later, you will realize that you have to know how to say these things in German. What are the correct nouns and what are the correct articles, okay? Please do this. You can add more, for example, like, so normally when we talk about afternoon, we say like vormittag, nachmittag, so vormittag is like, okay, people have different like assumptions, but normally if I say vormittag, I think it's before 12. Nachmittag, it's after 12. I mean, that is for me, but it may vary for different people, different circles. Also, what you should learn is that, so as I said, right, so asking for time is not important, but knowing how to talk about time is important. So please tell me what they mean if someone knows. Otherwise, I will give the answers. So if I say up, aksenua, what does it mean? If I say up, aksenua, what am I trying to say?
Beginning at starting at
Beginning, right? Or onwards, like onwards at that time. von 19 Uhr bis 20 Uhr,
From until.
right? From, until, till, or to. Zwischen 10 Uhr und zwischen 11 Uhr.
Between.
Between.
Between, right? So you know this, right? And you can just imagine how often do you, like, you talk about times, like your, there is a new colleague in the team, and he wants your support, and like, he or she says, hey, can I call you? And you say, yeah, you can call me, like, 5 a.m. onwards, you know like, or you can call me from this time to this time, between this and that, right? You can also, again, even though we are talking about time, you can add days over here as well, right? So for example, when are we going to gym? Ab 2024, right? So you can say that, right? Bis, I think it's obvious, like till. For, nach, we just discussed. Gegen, difference, guys. So if I say wir treffen uns 7 Uhr, what am I saying? Let's say any idea?
Or
At,
at exactly
that's
at that time.
What about gegen?
Around
Around, right?
around that.
Yeah. So gegen is, again, different people have different assumptions. For me, gegen is like, 3 to 4 minutes before, after, but some people, it may mean like 15 minutes. I mean, again, there is a joke, but it depends, what around is. For me, it's like just 3 minutes tolerance. Different people have different assumptions about it. Okay. So homework, guys, please take some time, make a list of things you do on a daily basis. Please write as simple sentences as possible, as simple, just subject and verb, nothing else. If you can add an object, add, but not needed, describing your daily life. Okay. And make use of the words, so just make your timetable, and this will also help you. Some people, I said, ask them to do this homework, and they realized how much of their time they are wasting during their day. Once they some people write, like some people were like, they wrote like up 19 Uhr cookies Netflix, and I asked like till what, and they had no idea. They said like at 7 p.m. I start watching, and then I just don't know, like I watch it till I fall asleep. But that is not the idea is that you know how to use all these things. Okay. uh, also so when you use this, right, I think we discussed this in one of the sessions, so about position. So whenever the time factor is there, so normally I say like subject, verb, object. This is what I say, right? Subject, verb. But when you have time, make sure that the time factor is at the beginning. We add a text box so that it's clear what I'm talking about. So normally sentence is subject, verb, and it may or may not have an object or an adjective. Okay. But when you have time factor, then that comes over here, and then you have the verb, and then the subject comes over here, and you may or you may not have object, adjective. Okay. So if I say, this one, right? Von 6:30 Uhr lerne ich Deutsch. I mean, in your case, it will be, 7:30 bis, sorry, not 7:30, but 7 Uhr bis 8 Uhr lerne ich Deutsch. Okay. Questions? If there are no questions, please, please try to do this homework. Also, those who think it's very easy, please try to make this timetable. It will help you a lot. Okay. Uh, all right. So let me again go to slideshow mode. So let's talk about pronunciation, guys. Okay. So German language, like if you move from one, let's say they say that there is some difference in how they pronounce, how the dialect, like South Germany or and North Germany, also like West Germany, East Germany. So it depends, but what I will teach you is that, like how I learned, like we call it Hochdeutsch. So there, how you, like now how, what are the rules of pronunciation? So can someone read? Don't try to read anything. Just read the first sentence for me, please. The words in this sentence.
Die Tochter,
Yeah.
die Mutter, der Vater,
Yeah.
der Bruder.
Please continue. Read towards till the end.
Die Uhr, der Fernseher, der Sommer, der Winter, das Fenster, die Tür, der Trockner, der Toaster, der Hocker, der Durchmesser, der Empfänger,
One more time.
der Absender,
No, no, read it properly. This one, last one, finger.
Empfänger, Flagner. Flagner.
No, M. No, no. How it's EMP, like M finger. M finger.
Okay. Empfänger.
Yeah. This one.
Der Absender.
No, no, this one. The one in brackets.
Empfängerin.
Empfängerin. Absender, and then this one.
Der Absender. Die Absenderin.
Okay, not ab. Okay, ab. Okay, yeah, Absenderin. All right. Please mute yourself. There is this echo. Thank you very much. So I believe it's obvious, right? I believe many of you have already read the title. So whenever R or ER is at the end of a word, it's not usually pronounced. And if you really have to pronounce, you pronounce it as a. Okay, what do I mean by this? I mean, so okay, it depends, like there will be people who will pronounce it, but I'm trying to help you understand like how they normally teach in German classes, right? So it is doctor. Okay, you can, so you don't have to like emphasize the R alphabet. Okay, air, the doctor, the mutter, the vater. Okay, it's not the doctor, the mutter, the vater. you know you don't say that. Okay, sometimes, like sometimes I have some friends, with them I say bruder, just to uh, you won't get the humor, but my friends get the humor. So but normally you have to say bruder. Okay, don't emphasize the R part, but only when it is the towards the end. Okay, but so here I have these examples, right? So the empfängerin, here the R or ER is in between, so here you have to pronounce it, right? So the empfängerin. Okay, so the absender, but this one is the absenderin. This is obvious, right? Okay, so I purposefully chose some examples that just to make sure. Let's see if you know this. You don't have to know its meaning, but let's see if you know. What is this, guys? What is der Duschmesser? What does it mean? It has
Diameter.
correct, right? It's diameter. Again, you don't have to know it, but I don't know. So, what I'm trying to say is that like when I try to read, like whatever you can grab, try to read. Like a magazine from Kaufland, Netto, newspaper that you find that these guys like advertisement. They just keep like put them in your mailboxes. Whatever you can try to read and see whenever you see this er or r at the end of the words, and see if you're pronouncing them correctly. Okay, some people's recently I posted something on LinkedIn, and the guy said like it's very important that pronunciation is taught at the beginning, because if you don't practice it right now, it becomes a habit and it's difficult to get rid of that later. Okay, all right, questions? Okay, no questions. Okay,
Please tell us the correct pronunciation of fourth line.
fourth line, this one. I will let you try. Go ahead.
Das Fenster,
Yeah.
die Tür, der Trockner, der Toaster, der Hocker.
So here again, it depends, like depends how you say. So you can pronounce, you cannot pronounce. Okay, but if you do pronounce, don't emphasize it too much. The fenster, that's fenster. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying fenster. I'm just, so R is there, but how do you say? It's not also. It's also not there. That's fenster. You can say that's fenster, but if if I would request you to not like emphasize the R part. The Tür. Okay, so how I'm reading this one is, wait, let me, so how I'm reading this, I'm not saying, I'm just reading it like this, the Tür. Okay, is it, what I'm saying?
Yes, now I understand.
Yeah. Okay, so but if you do it, it's still fine. Okay, it depends, like it depends on the area where you live. Okay, I mean the state, some people do it. I think in Norway people don't do it, like in near the area near how do you say, Netherlands. Yeah. All right, questions, more questions? Okay, please.
Nein, alles klar.
Yeah, yeah, please mute yourself. Okay, let's talk about Modalverben. Okay, so Modalverben, guys, it's very important that you use them. Okay, let's talk about why. So Modalverben are nothing but they are just verbs, and there are like six verbs which we call as Modalverben, and they make your language much more. How do I say? They let you say so many things. Like so, whenever you learn a verb, you can use modal verb. So let's say you learn a verb, for example, kochen, right? So now if you want to say I want to cook, I like to cook, I'm allowed to cook, I should cook, to say all these things, modal verb. So you can learn a verb and then you can say six different kinds of things with the same verb if you know the six modal verben. Okay. Also modal verben help you to do less mistakes when it comes to exams. I'll show you how later. So what do you need to learn about? So what is their purpose? I mean, no one is going to ask you, but modal verb, and the purpose is that they make so they help you say more sophisticated things. How many are there? There are just six. How to use them? I mean, how to use them, it means syntax, so where is the verb? So because you will have one more verb, right? Modal verb is a verb. So far we know that normally you have subject, verb, object, but now that you have one more verb, so how do you handle two verbs, right? And what about conjugation? So we'll try to answer those questions. So if I said six, but you see seven over here, right? So one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So Myoschen is not a modal verb. Myoschen is actually we call it conjunctive zwei of Myogen. So Myogen is a modal verb. You can think of it like this, So Myogen is Pikachu, Myosten is Raichu. It's a different version of Myogen. Even though Myogen is a modal verb, we normally just say that Myosten is a modal, even though it is not. Okay. What is conjunctive zwei? Don't worry about it. But just if you want to know, like every verb has a conjunctive zwei. Okay, every verb has that. But for that, let's just ignore. So just for theory, like Myogen is a modal verb, Myosten is not. But for all practical purposes, consider Myosten as the modal verb. Okay, so you have dürfen, sollen, können, müssen, wollen, and Myosten. Okay, let's go through them. So the mistake is, this blue banner, like I used to ask, what is the mistakes? And the answer was like, Myosten is not a modal verb, Myogen is a modal verb. And I think it's not relevant right now. I'll get to, when to use which one. Let's look at the syntax, right? So normally I say that, normally the syntax is like you have subject, you have object, and you may or may not have object or adjective, right? So now what happens, and of course you have to conjugate the verb, right? You have to conjugate it as per the subject. Now what happens if you have a modal verb? Your life actually becomes easier because subject, modal verb, then you may or may not have object or adjective in place of object, and then you have the normal verb, the verb which was over here gets pushed to the last position. And the good thing is that now you only conjugate the modal verb. Okay, so now what you do is you only conjugate the modal verb. This verb you don't have to conjugate. What does it mean? You just keep it in its infinitive form. What is infinitive form? I think it's obvious, right? Last time we discussed what infinitive form, right? So whatever the form, like the normal form, we call it Grund form. Okay. Why is it easy? So let's say if you learn 100 different verbs, okay, and every sentence that you speak with the help of a modal verb. You don't have to learn the conjugations of those 100 verbs, right? If you just know the conjugations of six modal verbs, it's easy, right? Instead of learning conjugation of 100 different verbs, just learn the conjugation of the six modal verb, right? Again, you still have to learn, like, conjugation of every verb that you learn, but just telling you like how they make your life easier, like in terms of practical purposes, right? In exams. So again, the syntax, subject, modal verb. So normally you have subject, verb, and object. But when you use modal verb, so you have subject at the first position. Again, when I say first, it's, whenever there is something else over here, subject will get pushed here, right? So at the second position, you have the modal verb. Of course, you conjugate it, and then you may or may not have other things, object, blah blah blah. And towards the end, you have the normal verb. I don't think they call it normal verb, but I hope you know what I mean by normal verb, the actual verb of the sentence, right? Infinitive. So, and this one, right, it's usually either before or after modal verb, or after the conjugated verb. Okay, if there is something over here like time factor, it gets pushed to the last position. So, what about So for yes or no kind of questions, it's very obvious, right? What do you do? Like normally you just replace subject and verb, right? So here as well, when I say replace subject or verb, you replace subject and the conjugated verbs position, right? So normally, so I mean, it's obvious, right? So the first position is now of the modal verb, and subject is over here right now. Okay. Of course, you need a question mark towards the end because it is an yes or no kind of question. Okay. And what about W kind of question? It's very simple. You add W word over here. Okay. Questions about these guys? No questions. Okay. Syntax is very obvious, guys. Just remember that conjugated verb at second position, and other verb, towards the last position. Okay. Same for sentence. W, yes or no question. W question. Let's look at when to use which one. Okay. Let's start with sollen. Any guesses when to use sollen? Give me a sentence, and then maybe you can, you can. The reason I'm asking is because some of you already know, and I want to check whether your understanding is correct or no. Any idea when to use sollen as a modal verb? Like when you can give me some examples in English and in German.
Solon is should, and I think it is used when we imperative kind, when you ask someone to do it. Zum Beispiel, du sollst essen, du sollst Hausaufgabe machen, or yeah, when you talk to someone who's a little younger to us.
Yes. So yeah. So whenever, so I'm not sure about imperative because it's a very different concept, but I know what you're talking about. So sollen, normally you think of should, okay? But later as we continue, I will show you a different verb. I will say that whenever you mean as an advice. Okay, so for now, whenever you are giving an advice, so sollen, should, you can use sollen. Okay. But later I will tell you it is wrong. Whenever you are giving an advice, you will have to use sollten. But for now, you can just use sollen. But for all practical purposes, you can use sollen when you want to say should, should, blah, blah. Okay. So, as the example, you should do homework, do soll's Hausaufgabe machen. Okay. Let's look at the table first so that, I know. Let's look at this table, guys. You have to remember this table. Okay. So again, the same example, if tomorrow, if I come to your house, 4 a.m. in the morning, I throw cold water on your face, and if I ask you, you should give me this table. Okay. So the table, please remember this. It's not that difficult to remember. Okay. Best thing is just to use it. Okay. So please read this for me, guys. Anyone? So it's like ish kan, do kan, something like this.
Ich kann, du kannst, sie kann, ihr könnt. Ich soll, du sollst, sie soll, ihr sollt. Ich darf, du darfst, sie darf, ihr dürft. Ich will, du willst, sie will, ihr wollt. Ich möchte, du möchtest, sie möchte, ihr möchtet. Ich muss, du musst, sie muss, ihr müsst.
Okay. So it's obvious, and the reason I have not ended for like via z, it's obvious you have to use this one, right? So small s z, capital S z können, we also können, right? If you notice, right, if you have been paying attention, so for here, you don't really have to remember four. You just remember ish, and the same you can use for rsz, right? Check ish kan, rsz kan, ish soll, rsz soll, ish darf, rsz darf, ich will, rsz will, ich möchte, rsz möchte, ich muss, du musst. Sorry, rsz, it's obvious, right? Okay. Also, ia, it's even more obvious. So what you do is you remove the en part and you add t. That's it. Okay. No, not always, but okay. So here you remove en and you get kjönt. You remove en, you get add t, zolt. You remove en, you get dürft. Wollen, remove en, add t, volt. Möchten, okay, here exception. I mean, there are always exceptions. You möchtet. The reason is, right, if you remove en, then it will be like mished. There will be two t's, right? That is the obvious reason. Okay. So that's why you add et. Here, I mean, you can remove en and just add t. Okay. Is it not easy to remember? Okay. The only thing is that this one is, so some people think, kyonen, so it will be ish kyona. It's not, it's wrong. Okay. There are scenarios when it is ish kyona, but it is not. We'll talk about that later, maybe in B2. Okay, so ish khan, this one, I think the just ish one is tricky. The other ones are like the easiest one is ia, right? And if you know ish, then so you add st, ST, check. Kann, kannst, sollst, darfst, willst, möchtest, musst. Okay, again, here you have an exception. Okay, so it's easy to remember. Okay, if you just, I hope so. Uh, let's check when to use which one. Again, guys, any questions, please ask. So we looked at sollen. What about müssen? Guys, anyone wants to answer? Or whatever you think it will be.
Must.
Must.
Must, yes, must, and what else?
Motion would be would like to.
No, no, let's stick with müssen first of all. So you can, whenever you want to say must something, like you must something, it will be müssen. Have to also. So whenever it is like, how do you say? It is mandatory, For example, again, it depends, like ich möchte, uh, ich will Deutsch, ich muss Deutsch lernen, it's like I have to, I must learn German, there is I hope it's obvious, Then let's talk about wollen. What is wollen, guys? When can you use it?
Would.
Want.
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 No,
Would want. Okay.
would is incorrect. Okay, so would is incorrect. So want to, you can also, some people say, and what is möchten then? Let's talk about wollen and möchten together. What is möchten? Someone was giving the answer, right?
It means like I like to like. So I would like.
Mention
Would like to.
Yeah. So again,
desire.
because it is a desire, yes. So wollen and möchten, they both are, wishes. Wollen is a very strong wish. For example, let's say if I go to a restaurant, I mean, you don't say, right, like I want pizza. You say I would like to have pizza. So it's a polite wish. Ich will, for example, let's say if you're working for 1 year and now you want a salary hike, you can say ich will mehr Gehalt, Gehaltserhöhung, but normally, you don't say like I want salary, more salary. You just say I would like to have more salary, right? So it's a polite wish. Wollen is a very strong wish. Again, do I mean like you can never say? Of course you can say, right? For example, ich will nach Paris fliegen. Ich will in Urlaub gehen. Okay, so again, möchten, it may mean like to, it may mean would like to. Okay, later in A2 we will learn how to say would like to, but for now, whenever you want to say like to, would like to, go with möchten. Okay, it is not completely correct, but for now it is fine. Okay, so wollen, strong wish. Möchten, strong but polite wish or weak wish. Okay, all right. Mögen, let's ignore that for now. So again, möchten, difference between möchten and wollen, I think it's obvious. What else is left? Können. Okay, guys, what are your answers first of all?
Yeah, you can like so it's like
Yeah. Okay. But in terms of context, so like can, for example, what can you, and also in terms of skills, right? For example, you have an interview, your interview will ask, right? What can you do, right? So you can say, I can program, I can program, right? So it's also you're talking about skills. Again, the reason I'm not saying like, so whenever you think you can, you in your head you are go can, you can use können, but think of it like, also you will have this job descriptions, advertisements, there you will see that the sag ich mal, so the, how do you say, so the person, the person can Python, can, right? So and also sometimes you will see Zol. So the person Zol Python. You know what I'm trying to say? So können is can. So it's, you're talking about skills. You're talking about abilities. Okay. And dürfen is obvious. What is dürfen, guys? Dürfen,
Allow.
allowed to. What was the
May.
other?
Me.
May, yes,
May.
of course, may. For example, like we had this famous joke, right, in school, like, can I come? And the teacher would say, you can come, but you may not. So du kannst, aber du darfst nicht. So I hope it's obvious, right? So dürfen, but dürfen has something to do with permission. So for example, this will happen to you, right? In like now that we have this 49 euros ticket, many people are traveling, so the trains are almost always full, on weekends, also on weekdays now. So let's say you go, right, and normally when the train arrives, people take, they all take window seats, and they will keep their back, or they will just take the seats, right, where there are just two, like one pair of seats, right? And before you sit, normally you ask, like, can I sit? So what do you say, guys? If anyone has, like, how do you, like, ask the person that, can I sit, or may I sit? What do you,
Is the
yeah?
Platz frei?
So ist der Platz frei, not the Platz. And what else do you say? What else can you say? This is correct. What else?
Kann ich hier sitzen?
Darf ich da sitzen?
Darf ich da
Sitzen?
sitzen, not sitzen?
Sitzen, I said.
Okay. Sitzen is incorrect. Sitzen is correct. Uh,
Okay.
so, but so here, again, like, my advice will be, I mean, you can say whatever you want, but normally, this is what people say. Darf, you just, like, make sure that the person knows you are talking to them. Darfish. That's a, so darfish, may I? And people know what you mean. Okay. So there is the Platz frei. You can say darfish da sitzen. I mean, you don't have to, like, say the entire sentence. You just say darfish. Some people will say darfish ma. Like, may I? What is mal? I asked this question to my teacher in C1 German. She said it makes the language musical. So it has no meaning, but how to use it, it comes with practice. Okay, darfish ma, it's difficult to explain but very easy to understand when and it comes with watching movies and interacting as much as you can, but you can say dafish. Okay, so here, may I, right? So here you don't say, again, kanish you can say, I mean, if it's your teacher, they will say, yeah, kannst du, aber darfst du nicht, but I think the other guys will know what you're saying, the guy whom you are talking to. So dürfen has something to do with permission, but also, you're right, wherever you go, like, you're going to office, they will say, I don't know why they have to write it. They write it like Rauchen is verboten. That means, like, smoking is prohibited. Also, man darf hier nicht rauchen, right? One is not allowed to smoke here. Okay, so dürfen something with permission, like, what is allowed, not allowed. The reason I'm focusing over here is that please don't confuse können and dürfen. Okay, okay, just remember that example of your teacher. Can I teach? And yes, you can, but you may not. Okay, so this table you have to remember. Let's see how much time we have. We have enough time left. So let me first go to slideshow mode. I'm not doing any examples on this because we'll do examples just in 1 sec, like in 5 minutes. But so one example, so I think in the previous suggestions, I had asked you to, like, write about your day and choose a specific part of your day and try to write just simple sentences. For example, ich stehe auf, ich koche Wasser, ich mache Kaffee, ich trinke Kaffee. Now you should try to write those same sentences and you add Modalverb in them, right? For example, ich muss aufstehen, ich muss 6 Uhr aufstehen, you know. So make a list of places you visit daily, weekly, monthly, annually. This is, you already do it. I go to office. I think this is an example for later. Yeah, not helping us right now. Also,
Is the second example ich gehe? Ich gehe ins Kino?
yeah, it's yeah, but this homework is not relevant to this topic. It's,
Okay.
it's not relevant to this topic. Yeah, for
Okay.
this later. What I want you to, so this is we finished the difficult part of the session, guys. So just remember, like, subject, modal verb conjugated. So, like, and object you may or may not have, and towards the last you will have the other verb in infinitive form. Okay, this is I think many of you already know this from Duolingo, but let's just go over it. So it's always a good idea to know how to apologize and also how you may react to an apology. For example, you are in Kaufland and you have this shopping cart with you, and you by mistake hit someone. So you say sorry. So you can say sorry, and it's not sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, you can say Entschuldigung. Okay, tut mir leid. It means, it hurts me, but it's, you don't say it when you hit someone with your shopping cart. It's like, someone gives you a bad news. Then you say, I'm sorry. Something like that. Tut mir leid. Okay. Also, when you are giving bad news to someone, but it does not have to be like a very bad news. For example, You are late to, let's say you have an appointment at the Ausländerbehörde and you are late to the meeting. Quite often the guard will not let you in. I mean, it depends how late you are, and they will say, "Tut mir leid, aber did you finish reingehen?" You know. So I hope it's obvious. When to say "Tut mir leid," when to Entschuldigung, sorry, sorry. You can say at the same. You can say them interchangeably. How do you react to an apology? Kein Problem. No problem. Alles gut. No problem. Everything. I mean, I don't translate this in English, but alles gut, alles gut, alles gut. Kein Ding. Again, it's very informal. Kein Ding means no thing, but people use it. Macht nichts. What does it mean? Any idea?
Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't matter.
Make a difference, but I think it's more accurately if you. I mean, it's something like don't mind. Okay, okay. There are many other ways to say sorry, many other ways to react to an apology, but these things you should know. No, so someone hits you with their shopping cart, they will start apologizing. They say, alles gut, kein Problem. You can use them like, alles gut, kein Ding. So, or you should know how to say sorry. Okay. All right. So you already know the German words for stuff in your room. Let's see if you can learn so like, how do you say that's my stuff? By this, I mean, so you already know the articles, right? So we discussed this like das Buch, die Tasse, die Bücher, die Tassen. Okay. We also discussed like when, like this is nominative, and we discussed accusative, right? We also discussed dative. Okay. But how do I say, so this is das Buch means like that is the book. How do I say that is my book? This is something you have to learn. Of course, that means you will have to learn new articles. Okay, in English we just have my and mine. Her, his. That's or their. In German we have a little bit more. Okay, so again, this is so here. Please read this for me, guys. Is anyone all the sentences?
Das
Das
ist,
ist ein Buch. Go ahead.
das ist ein Buch. Das ist mein Buch. Das ist eine Tasse. Das ist meine Tasse. Das ist ein Monitor oder Bildschirm. Das sind meine Monitore oder Bildschirme.
No, so don't try to guess how to pronounce. Just read. So SCH and then I, right? So build shirm. Okay. Clear what I'm
Okay.
saying? So don't try to guess, just break the word into small parts. So build, build shirma, okay, build okay. All right. So I think it's obvious. So this is obvious, right? My, and it is obvious, right? So book is das, so it's mine. Tas is feminine, so it's mina, and this is plural, so mina. I think some of it is obvious. So this is how mine, mina, mine, mina. It's obvious, right? So how you have eine. Similarly, just add m at the beginning, and you make it my. Clear so far? This is a nominative. And this is, we call it possessive article in German. I don't know if there is an English translation, but like you talk about things you possess. I mean, don't think that definition is bulletproof, but I hope you get the idea. All right. So this is the same thing. Ich, for ich, that's how you should learn. Ich, mine, mine. And then you have to learn like now the interesting part, right? Again, so for example, for ich, it is, please go through this table. Anyone from here, from this one, Z.
Sie, ihr, ihre, ihre. Du, dein, deiner. Er, sein, seine. Es, seine. Sie, ihre. Ihr, euer, euer.
Okay, so be careful. So I think so. I mean, again, the same thing. You have to remember this table. Remember tomorrow in the morning, you have to give me this table. Okay, so there is. I mean, I cannot tell you how to remember. Just remember this table. Okay, so some is like some are obvious. For example, ich, mine, meine. For do it becomes dein, deine. So if you know for masculine, you know for neutral, and if you know for feminine, you know for plural. Okay, this here be careful. So it's euer, and now Oira. Okay, so the spelling changes. Be careful. Okay. Now, if you see for this capital SZ and small sz, it is the same. Okay. but there is a difference. So capital SZ, I hope you know, it's like you, formal, singular, or plural. Small sz, here it can mean, so normally we have two small sc, right? One is she and the other one small sc is they. But I have written the same for both of them because it's the same, right? So it is ear, ear. Okay. This one is capital. I hope it's obvious why it is capital. So just telling you that whenever you have this, whenever in the sentence, it has to be capital. Okay. The other ones, they will be capital only if they are at the beginning of a sentence. Okay. I hope this is obvious. Just mug up this table, guys. There is no other way. So this is what you learned in masculine. Okay. So this was for, like, how do I say, nominative. This was for nominative case, but we also have accusative case. So what only difference you have to remember is that only masculine change. Okay, the other ones remain the same. Okay, clear? And just make it sound like n. Meinen, ihren, deinen, seinen, ihren, euren. Okay, I think e should not be there, but let's just check. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, so just remember this. Like, this is how it looks nominative. In accusative, only masculine changes. The other remain the same. Questions? You have to mug up this table. Okay, so I think we don't have to do numbers. But if you really want to do practice, you can do this homework, right? Just go to your favorite app, whatever you have on your phone. Now it's Black Friday, of course. I'm sure you're checking like deals. Just try to read the prices, and that's why how you will practice numbers, how to talk about numbers in German. Uh, Please make a list of German words that can be used to describe stuff. For example, clean, dirty, these are adjectives, right? Clean, dirty, old, fresh, stinky, high. Make a list of words that you think you will need, because when you know this, you can use the verb sein to say so many things, right? Blah, blah, ist, blah, blah. And that other blah, blah is adjective. Okay. So let's play the game, and also we will try to practice this Modalverben. So for those who are attending for the first time, the idea is that every day you buy a new book, prefer like, and every day a new page. You divide the page into four parts. In the first part, you write all the nouns that you learned on that day. Second is for verbs. Third is for adjectives, adverbs. Fourth one is for uh, any phrases, any idioms. So let's start, guys. If anyone knows answers, unmute and ask. What do you think, or have you ever heard someone say "auf jeden Fall"? It's a phrase. I mean, there is grammar behind it, but you don't have to wait to learn the grammar to say it.
It means definitely.
Yeah, definitely, right?
In any condition.
Yeah, for sure. For example, are we meeting tomorrow? For sure. For sure. Auf keinen Fall.
In no situation.
Yeah, just the opposite, right? Are we meeting tomorrow? Yes. Are we meeting pizza? Auf jeden Fall. Are you paying? Auf keinen Fall. Something like that. So, na klar. You can give me a scenario where you can say na klar. Na klar is something like sure, of something like that. Okay. Will you send the presentation? Na klar, na klar. Are we meeting? Na klar. Okay. Leider nicht. When can you say it, guys?
Unfortunately not.
Right? No, unfortunately, no. Noch einmal.
Once again,
No.
or repeat yourself, or
And
No.
once again.
Yeah. It depends how you say it. So let's say if I'm asking you a question and you answer and I did not hear, I say noch einmal. And it means like, can you repeat? It can also mean noch einmal. For example, you are at a concert and like noch einmal after the band stops playing. Okay. Alles klar.
Once more.
Sorry, go ahead.
That means once more in that
Yeah.
context.
Yeah. Difference between alles klar and this one, alles klar. Like, so one is, of course, this one is a question, this one is not a question. Difference, when can you use? It's very obvious. Just think. So how, like, it's something like all right. So all right can be a question, all right can be a question answer, right? So some people write on text, is everything all right? And then the answer is, yeah, everything is all right. Okay. Again, there is no grammar over here. Depends on how you say it. Let's say, if I meet and if I let's say we both work in the same office and I walk by your desk and you look very sad. I will come and ask, "Hey, alles klar? Is everything all right?" Right? And you say, "Yeah, yeah, alles klar. Everything is all right." Depends how you say. Okay? It can. Uh, I hope you get the idea. If you have questions, please ask. Like when to use what. Not how's it. You
I thought we'd say alles gut or
can also say alles.
alles klar we'd use in like all clear
Uh,
or all clear,
yes,
I
it can
guess an
also
answer.
be like that. For example, let's say your boss is explaining you something, and you just reply with alles klar. It can also mean that. It can mean there are many different things, but just one is a question, one is an answer. Okay.
Okay, so is it synonymous to alles gut?
Yes, but let's say if your boss has explained you something like, do this, and you say alles gut, then it is not correct. Then you
Ah,
have
okay.
to say alles klar. Okay. Alles gut is like, it may be a reaction to an apology. Like someone hits you with their shopping cart in Kaufland and they start apologizing. You say alles gut. Then they say like, oh, sorry, sorry, sorry. Then you say alles gut, kein Problem, alles gut. You know, something like that. Okay. But again, walk by my desk in the office and you see I'm really I'm look sad, and you come, hey, alles gut, Rohit. Is every so again it comes with practice. So uh, see, the best thing is just practice. So uh, okay, we have 3 minutes left, guys, so let's not feel very happy about it, but we have 3 minutes left. Tell me, what is this one, verstehen? What does it mean?
To understand.
To understand, right? And then ich kann verstehen, I can understand. I have to understand, ich muss verstehen. Okay. Then you have difference between kennen and wissen, guys. It's a very favorite question which teachers ask, so I have to also ask.
Canon to know somebody, listen to know something.
Right? So the kennen is like, it's in English they both mean no, but kennen is the object is a person, wissen is the object is a, a, like not a person.
Just
Okay.
area in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah. Then you have variieren. So this is Vareeearan. What does it mean? It's very obvious. It's taken from the English word
Very.
vary. So äh, man sollte die Übungen variieren nach 6 Monaten, nach 6 Wochen. Wenn man in Fitnessstudio trainiert, dann nach 6 Wochen solltest du deine Übungen variieren. Vary your exercises. Again, you can use something else as well, but I'm just giving an example. Okay, ich muss variieren, du musst variieren. Besuchen.
Search.
Besuchen.
To visit?
Visit.
Visit. So search is suchen. Okay, be careful. Okay, search is suchen. I think this one, spazieren gehen, this is a special one, guys. So here you have two verbs, but you only conjugate this one, gehen one. Okay, so ich gehe spazieren, du gehst spazieren, sie geht spazieren, ihr geht spazieren, and then I hope it's obvious. Okay, this is a special scenario, but know that you only conjugate this one. Uh, okay, the meeting will end any time. That's why let's thank you very much for attending the session, guys. I hope you learned something. Please do the homework. Please try to revise the Modalverben. Please mug up the Modalverben table conjugation. Please mug up the possessive article, mine, thine for accusative, nominative. And the call will end, guys. Thank you very much for joining. See you on Wednesday.